Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Well, that was great. I haven't done a lab video in a while, so I thought I would start out with a lab and show you some of the things that are going on here. So this was my first replating of some seeds, some seedlings that were plated 11-25-25, so that means 3 months ago. So these seeds were initially flasked 3 months ago, and then they were plated on a replate medium, and then they will be plated on a second replate medium in these large flasks here. So the time from seed till reaching the top of the flasks is roughly about 9 months. So I think another 3 months in here, but it all depends on how they grow, and then another 3 to 5 months in here. And I wanted to show it to you because the idea behind today is that I do try to push the seeds, these orchid seeds, through to for germination, subsequent growth of the seedlings, and flowering. I like to push things, and this is the first stage. So these are small, but what I did underneath the microscope is I picked out the best 25 and made a 5x5 grid. These are a little small. Normally I would wait a little longer, but I'm trying to push these seedlings through the whole process. I've got a few more seed lots here that I'm really excited about that I'm going to try to push through. But I do want to say that the basis for my video today was a conversation that I had with a visitor and I shared some seedlings with this visitor. Not here, but I shared some seedlings that I had taken out of the flask and was then growing. And I'm going to show you those seedlings. I'm going to show you those conditions because I think I'm getting good at pushing things through really quickly. I've shared with you that I'm pretty much a newbie, a novice at growing orchids, but this stuff I've been doing, and I sat down and figured it out. I've been doing this stuff, not with orchids, but with other plants for 50 years, for a long time. And you may ask, well, what did you start right out of the womb? And, well, yeah, but no, I've been doing this for a long, long time. So I'm really good at this part of it. The medium that I'm using here has been optimized. My conditions are tweaked and optimized. I know what to look for. I know how to handle the tissue in these dishes and these flasks, and I know how to push things through. I also know how to take things ex vitro, how to take things out of the dishes and the flasks and put them in bark or soil or whatever the medium happens to be. And so what I want to do is take a look at this. But the conversation that I had with this visitor is I gave him some plants, and when I gave him the plants, he was very gracious, and he took them and he said, "Thank you so much." And then the next time that I saw him, he said, "You know, those plants were pretty wet. They're going to rot." And I had to tell him, I've been doing this for many years. I know how to grow the plants out of culture. So, and my survival rate of my orchids when I deflask is greater than 95%. I would guess 99% even. So the survival rate is high. My plants do very well, and one of the things is that I keep my seedlings when I deflask really wet, but they're fresh out, and I've looked at what happens when they dry, and that's not good. There's a little bit of algae that grows. They are wet, but I don't get rotting, and I don't fully understand why, to be honest with you. It's not how I grow my orchids. If I grew my mature orchids like this, yeah, sure, they would rot. But with my seedlings, I can get away with this. And the reality of it is that inside of these containers, I mean, these orchids are growing their roots in the medium. So they're essentially in water. There's other stuff in there too. The humidity, and they're sealed containers. The humidity in there is 100% humidity. So this is how they're growing to this point. So when I transition out, when I deflask, when I transition to the tubs that I'm going to show you in a second, everything is still under very wet conditions and under very high humidity. So what I want to do, and every time I look at them, like I did today in the laboratory, every time I look at them, I laugh, and I'm shocked at how well they're growing and how big they're growing. So what I want to do is take a look first at the first step after deflasking. I'm going to take a look at some of the plants in the culture room where there is low intensity. And then we're going to go to the grow tent, and that's 3 months under those conditions. Then we're going to go to the grow tent, and that's another 2 to 3 months under those conditions. We're going to take a look at those plants. But what I want you to remember is the timing of everything, how I'm trying to push things through. Sure, I can grow big orchids. Everyone can grow big orchids. The thing that I think I'm doing is I'm growing them very quickly in flask and when I deflask. And I'll try to emphasize that as we take a look at things. So let's first take a look at the culture room. I'll show you some of the flasks and some of the recently deflasked orchids, and then we'll go take a look at the grow tent, and I'll follow up there. Okay, and we're back. So this is the culture room, and this is where I grow all of the flasks and the deflasked orchids. If I had to plan this a little bit better, I wouldn't put any of the plants, the deflasked plants, in the same room as the flask plants. This is a really dirty room. Well, I think because this is where I have my deflasked orchids, and so eventually what happens is you get fungus gnats that get in there and other things and who knows what. And this is supposed to be a clean room, and it's not. So I really do struggle with some issues, some contamination issues. Again, I've been doing this for most of my career, and there are ways that you could try to solve it, but I just deal with it and toss flasks out that are contaminated. But I have my seed germination is right here. So this is a new hybrid that I have that I'm pretty excited about. It's an amazing Thailand hybrid, not named yet, but I'll do that soon. Plants need to get way big. I do have some larger plants, but anyway, I've got a lot of seedlings coming here. I've got a lot of plants and flasks here. This happens to be a dendrobium, but I've got all types of different hybrids here. This one is still a little bit young. This has a few more months. This was just put in here a month ago. So this is about a month out of a dish into this container. The roots are starting to grow in the medium, but maybe in another 2 or 3 months this will be ready to go. This one has been in here for 2 months. So this one right here, a lot longer. The roots are growing nicely, but there's a ways to go here. But these are some of my hybrids, and I'm pretty excited about some of the new hybrids coming. Here's one that's kind of fun. Let me show you this one first. This one is kind of fun. A new one, a newly named hybrid. And so this is Bad Girl, and then over here, of course, is Bad Boy. And so these are 2 of my hybrids that are in flasks here. Some of these have come out, but I'm having fun making the hybrids, naming them, all that type of stuff. But anyway, these plants, they're under 100% humidity in here. The roots are growing in the medium, and this is how they grow for the first 9 months usually of their lives. Got to show you something. Here's something fun. So Here's some ghosts, yay. So this is, so I didn't do these. Well, I did the initial flasking of the seed, but I have a helper. Actually, I have a few helpers in the laboratory now, and they're helping out, but they're also a lot of work to train. So yay, and the helpers are doing some of these, and maybe I can get them involved in some of the videos. We'll see how all of that goes. But you know, as I'm looking around, I've got just you know, different hybrids all over the place here, and then I'm deflasking, and it's getting fun. It's getting excited. So when you deflask, so you take them out of here, and then you put them in, and I always place my orchids in tubs, and here's one of the tubs that I use that's right here. When I get in here and when I look at this, and this is, I gotta look, this is an orchid that is named Wings Up, and I named it after an expression that someone uses, and I'm pretty excited about this. But these orchids were deflasked, looking at it, 3 months ago. So these are ready to go into the grow tent. They were after a month. I inoculate the plants, and I've got videos on all this. I inoculate the plants with mycorrhizae, and the thing that I love in watching these, and then I keep them wet. So as I pull these things out of the container, you can see, I hope you can see, they're dripping, they're wet. And so I replaced the water, and I sprayed them with water just today, but they're always wet, and that's how I like it. And that's what the visitor to my laboratory commented on, is that you're keeping them too wet, they're gonna rot. They don't rot. I mean, look at this. If you take a close look at what the contents of the seedlings in this tub, you can see the incredible root growth throughout. As you look around, the plants look good. You can see how wet they are, but you can also see, if you look at them, you can see the incredible root growth. So the roots that you're looking for are bright green. Ideally, you want green root tips, and you want them to kind of grow out and all over the place. Not everyone looks great, but overall, they look really, really good. And this is what I see, and this is why I'm confident in this approach and in what I'm doing. Okay, so that's the one that I wanted to show you, but then I want to show you, just so you know that I'm not faking this, here's another one here. And this is a different hybrid, and I got to see when this was deflasked. The same day, okay? And so this is Christopher Walken. And yes, it is the actor. Why was this named Christopher Walken? Well, he's a great actor. I love his work. I love watching his movies. But the other thing, it was a Walkeriana is one of the parents of Christopher Walken. And I was trying to come up with a clever way to put Walker in something, and I just decided to heck with it. I wanted to do Walken. I wanted to do Christopher Walken Rihanna. Too hard to say, so I just decided to use his name. Anyway, when you take a look at the plants in here, it's essentially the same thing. As you look closely at this, you can see the green roots that have, and the roots when these are first deflasked are buried. And these are new roots that grow out of the crown or the top of the plant and then just kind of meander and spread along the top of the orchiata. They're also in there, and they crawl out of the bottom of the pots and crawl down the bottom of the container and then into the next pot. So they do that, and they can kind of form a network and get crowded in here. But the bottom line is that these guys are doing well under these wet conditions. So you can do this with deflasked orchids, with orchiata, with all the other conditions that I use. Now, I don't recommend that you do it for your large orchids, and I don't recommend it that you do this with moss or another type of bark or other, but make sure that these work under your conditions. Under my conditions, oh my God, the amount of growth that I'm getting out of these things. This is 3 months since deflasking, but the amount of growth and root growth and even shoot growth that I'm getting from these things is just phenomenal. Okay, how do we keep the growth going forward, this incredible growth going forward? I transfer these things, and I should do it at this time, but my grow tent is full. I need some more tent. I need another tent. But what I do is I put these in my grow tent and I keep them, I add a little bit of time-release fertilizer, but under high light intensity, and I get just a huge additional surge in growth from the higher temps and from the higher light intensity. So what I want to do is take you into the room with the grow tent and show you some of those seedlings. And we're back. So this is my grow tent space, and it's not a huge amount of space. It's 6 by 6 by, I don't know, I guess 7. And so it's a small amount of space, but what happens is that I can put 11 tubs like this and this in this space. The lights that are in here are high intensity LED lights. I have no ventilation, but the way that the building's set up, it stays a little bit warmer in here as this is closed. It stays a little bit warmer than the rest of the building. So just because of the heat from the LED lights. But the orchids love it. They love it in here. And as I was going through watering my orchids today, I was amazed because of the amount of growth that I have on these. All of the containers that are in here, I date when they are treated in various ways. So I date when I deflask, when I mycorrhizal treat, and then also when I put them in here in the grow tent. And most of these, I think, have been in here for 2 months, and so they need to come out. The people who are taking these need to take them. Some of them are mine, but some of them belong to other people, and I need to make sure that that these orchids have appropriate homes. But what I wanted to do today, before I clear out this space, is show you the growth on some of these seedlings. And let me take a look at, and there's various things that are in here. But what I want you to see is they are, everything in here is pretty wet. And the thing is, you have to watch if I try to pull these out, a lot of times, wow, that came out really easily. The roots are tangled. But what you can see here is how wet this is. So this is dripping water out of the bottom, but look how incredible this seedling is. And this is a new hybrid called Catty Cat. This was placed in the grow tent. It was deflasked 7/17. It was placed in the grow tent 11/13. So this has been in here for a while, but what's happening and what you can see is, aside from the incredible root growth on these, new pseudobulb. So there's a new pseudobulb here, new pseudobulb here, but then another new pseudobulb coming out here. I'm not going to get close-up of these because it's all the same thing. But again, I think you can see the root growth on these seedlings and the new pseudobulb there. So these things are growing phenomenally well in these containers and being as wet as they are. So, when this guy told me that, I need to modify my conditions, it's like, no, I don't. What's going on with these things? And if you've been watching my videos, I'm getting some of my first flowers on my orchids within 2 years of deflasking. These have been in the deflasking time. This has been, I think, not quite, or maybe it has been. Yes, it's been not quite. Yeah. It's been 6 months. So these were deflasked 6 months ago. But they're getting big, so when these things go outside for another 1.5 years, if I can sustain this incredible growth, which I think I can do, these are going to flower. So again, from what you saw the first part of my video, me picking out the most vigorous hybrids from the initial plate, transferring those, pushing development, and speeding these things through the overall process. This is how you get quick flowering, which for me is important. Now, I don't know what else is. It's interesting because I'm a little bit. I guess it's sad. I'm a little bit sad that I thought that I would spend most of my retirement trying to optimize this process. And I've done a lot within the first few years of retirement while working on this for just a few years. So I have to figure out what the next steps are and what I want to do here. I also want to show you this one. These are some more. These were they were deflashed at the same time. And to look at these, and these are in a larger container. If I can get this off, these are in a larger container because these plants have gotten pretty tall. So when you look at this, again, this is this plant, and these other plants were deflashed. This one, this is the problem when they get kind of tangled up. I got to get another one. I need two hands to detangle them. Let's see, yeah, that one's coming free. But you can see again the moisture that's coming out of these things. But look how big these are after 6 months after deflasking. It's just kind of, and they're wet, but they're just all doing so well. And I can just pick. I can just go through. Not all of them. I can't pick them out because they're all tangled because the roots are growing from one container into the other. Okay, so this is that one there. Let me see this one here. This is this is some more. Oh my gosh. This is Christopher Walken, which is I showed you in the other room, but these were deflashed the same time. But look at the, it's like, come on. Look at, new pseudobulbs growing out, new roots right here. But these are all tangled together. But look how big these deflashed orchids, just recently deflashed orchids. They're big and they're doing well. And these are in, like I said, 2-inch. These are in the 2-inch pots that you can see. But they're all, a lot of, not each one. I think I might have pulled out some of the nicer ones. But you look at the overall plants in here, and they're all pretty nice. They're pretty good. So doing pretty well under those conditions. I do want to show you a couple more. So here is down here. This also was in the grow tent. This is an dendrobium that was deflashed actually a little bit, a week before the one that I just showed you. But what is going on here? It's the same type of thing. Is you have, again, this is deflashed 6 months ago, and you've got, they're all tangled. You've got just all types of growth on these seedlings. They're all stuck together. I'm gonna have to, but this is the kind of growth you get. Again, these are wet, they're dripping, they're all doing so well, and I gotta watch it because the tags are coming out here. Incredible growth with these dendrobiums, but they all just look, they all look phenomenal. These actually look a little bit light in color, which might be okay. So, but there's fertilizer. There's time-release fertilizer here. But the initial cane was right here. The initial growth, but then this grew out, and it just continues to grow. So, I would not be surprised if these things also flowered pretty early. Okay, moving on. The last one that I want to show you is right here. If I can get it open. I hope I can show it to you. Okay, so here's another one Again, these were deflashed same time. But some of these are showing just incredible growth. And I do want to show these to you because these are in 4-inch pots. I put some of the seedlings directly in 4-inch pots, the monsters, the big ones, because the root system won't fit into a 2-inch pot. So these were deflashed directly into 4-inch pots, but they were still deflashed 6 to 7 months ago. But look at this growth. So this is one I've shared with you before. This is Cat Bull, which I've had. Some of the earlier ones have blown for me within 2 years of deflasking. So this is apparently a good hybrid, and this is a more recently deflashed plant. But there's 1, 2, 3 new pseudobulbs growing out of this monster vigorous plant in this 4-inch pot. This is right here. This is Jimbo, and Jimbo is a remake of an earlier cross that I made that has Cattleya luehmanniana propagator. So this is the first progeny from my FCC Cattleya luehmanniana. And this is, I don't know where it got the vigor from, but oh my gosh, look at this. You know, the thing is, it started out as a big plant, so that's kind of where it went. I don't know what this is. Let me take a look. Okay, this is another wings up, but you know, again, really fast growth. Another wings up here. Maybe this is a good hybrid. Anyway, so there is. I got to show you. I'm going to show you a couple more. This is. You can get it out of here. This is Watson Crick, named after the discoverers of the structure of DNA. And what's going on here is there's, again, this new pseudobulb here, but look, another one here, and you can't see, but another one right down here. So these plants, you know, 6, 7 months after deflasking I consider them to be huge. I like to push flowering. I'm just going to keep on going. To be honest, I'm not sure what to do next. I'm not sure how much more I can push this process. Now it may be a question of scaling up a little bit more. It's kind of, for me, it's kind of tiring because I have to push these things through so rapidly, but they kind of push themselves. I mean, this is just remarkable that a plant can be that big. And, you know, it was in a flask this big, you know, about this tall, with 24 other plants, 7 months ago. And now, look at this. These are exceptional plants, and I do like to be able to, because I make my own flasks, because I deflask my own plants, I can't pick out of the ones that go in there are even the most vigorous growers, and then I can even pick the most vigorous of the vigorous to do something special with, which is what these guys are for. So I'm happy to be able to do that. All right. Shoot. That's all I have for you today. I gotta clean up and get back to work. I got a lot more seedlings to replay today. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out. If you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, that's all I have. Again, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and happy propagating.